questions, because that is part of learning. And, you can raise any questions you might want. Don't be shy. You can speak in both Bahasa and English, and that is part of training. Yeah, but of course, if you prefer to write, please use the chat box. Yeah. Okay, let's move on. So about presentations, first off, every one of us at some point in our lives have to make presentations. Yeah, and you'd be surprised. Why? Why do I have to make a presentation? Sometimes you have to make simple presentations, simple ones. Yeah, like for instance, you want to get married, right? And you have to, your parents don't know about the girl that you're going to marry, for the young men, and of course for the women, the man that you are planning to get married to. Yeah, and therefore you have to present to them by saying her name, so on and so forth, and convince them, right? So that they will agree for you to marry him or her, right? So that is an example of a very simple presentation. Then, of course, you have the complex ones. Yeah, I'm going to give you an example here. For instance, your boss wants you to sell a service. Yeah, for instance, a property development, and you have to present to bankers. Why? What do you need to do? You need to convince them to give the company a loan to develop the property, right? This is a tough one, isn't it? It's a very complex one. Why? Because you, on your part, when you make your presentation, you must make a hard sell, yeah? And to do that, to convince them to give you the loan, the bankers to give the company a loan, you're representing a company, you must remember, yeah? You need to put in a lot of hard work, a lot of preparation. You have to gather a lot of information about the project, yeah? You have to do a lot of research, yeah? So hopefully when your boss assigns you that task, you would have been with the company for a number of years, right? So from there, you can make a good presentation, a convincing presentation, so much so that in the end, yeah, some of the bankers who are attending your talk, yeah, your session, will in the end agree. If not agree, they will at least negotiate with your company about the terms of the loan. Yeah, the ultimate that you want to achieve, the outcome you want to achieve, is for them to give the company a loan, right? So now let me move on. I want to share with you a video. I want you to listen carefully to this video. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to share with you some points of view about the video. I want you to think about what is being said. Yeah, and if necessary, I'll replay the video, right?
Good morning, everybody. Thanks very much indeed for coming. My name is Nick Phillips, and I'm the International Sales Manager here at GlobalNet PLC. This morning, I'm just going to take you through a very short presentation on our new service, which is Global Pickup. By the way, I'd appreciate it if you could keep your questions to the end. I'll leave plenty of time to deal with them after taking you through the presentation. Okay, so just to give you a bit of background about who we actually are here at GlobalNet, we were established in 1998. And we are now the largest player anywhere in the world in remote email access, which gives us sales of around £8 million a year. And we've got a network of over 200 ISPs, that's internet service providers, on a global basis, which you can access from any one of 12,000 dialing locations from over 100 countries. We've got corporate offices in London, New York, Tokyo, and Rio de Janeiro. Just to give you some idea of the structure of the presentation today, firstly I'm going to take you through how Global Pickup works, then the benefits of Global Pickup, then the time and money savings that will accrue from that, the most important part for you, I guess, which is costs, then look at a discounted proposal that we put together for you, and then, as I said earlier, we'll do some questions at the end. So firstly, Global Pickup, how does it work? Well, what it allows you to do is to access your email with a local number from anywhere in the world. Our software will find the local access number for you, and all you have to do is click and connect. An additional feature is that our service area is constantly expanding, and our phone book updates itself with new numbers automatically every time you log on. There are four major benefits: convenience, cost, reliability and support. As I've said, firstly, convenience. It is very easy to use. It's click and connect technology. And our ISP partners are all V90 and ISDN providers, allowing fast access. In terms of cost, as I've said before, it's always local call rates, so you're not being charged at international dialing prices at all. Our reliability is enhanced by the latest technology, which monitors your entire use of the service to ensure the best possible connections. As for support, all our ISP partners are available 24/7, either on the phone, you can access them for a local call charge, or also online. Now, our research indicates that an average sales manager spends £12,000 a year on mobile, email, phone charges. Now, with global pickup, this would cost on average less than £1,000 per year. Not only that, but as I've said before, because we use ISDN and V90, there's obviously a huge increase in productivity because the line doesn't go down. There are two cost elements in global pickup. In order to use the service, there is an annual subscription charge for each named user. This is set at £130 plus VAT, which in the UK is currently 17.5%. On top of that, obviously, there are local phone charges, which we bill at a per-minute basis, and those, of course, will be variable according to location. Our current annual subscription rate is £130 plus VAT per person. However, we are prepared to offer selected customers a very special deal. If you have 250 salespeople needing global email access who would subscribe to Global Pickup and you commit to a 3-year agreement, payable annually in advance, we can deeply discount your costs down to £52 per person plus VAT, which is obviously a saving of 60% on your annual subscription, plus all of the other cost savings that go with Global Pickup in terms of local call charges. I hope you find that satisfactory. Just to sum up then, GlobalNet is a worldwide company. We're experts in remote email access from anywhere in the world. And Global Pickup is a service which simplifies email access, as I've said, on a global basis. It has four great benefits: convenience, savings, technology and reliability. Thank you very much. My name is Nick Phillips. If anybody has any questions, I'll be happy to take them now. Yes, Mr. Callis.
You have offices in Europe, Japan, North and South America. I represent many of our agents in Africa. What plans do you have to service this continent?
Well, at the moment, Africa accounts for approximately 5% of our total revenue. So we don't actually have an office in Africa at the moment. What we do is we service it directly from our London office. However, as revenue grows in Africa over a period of time, then I'm sure there's a very strong possibility that we will be building an office out there at some point in the future. Yes, sir.
Yes, what TOF system do you have?
Well, I'm sorry, sir, could you please clarify exactly what it is that you mean by TOF?
Yes, it's a traffic overload fallback. What you do when the system has too many calls at one time. There's several handling packages on the market, and I'd like to know which one you use.
Well, I'm actually not technically qualified myself, so it's a very difficult question for me to answer. However, what I will do is I'll have a word with our technical department if you'd like to give me your business card, and I'm sure they'll be in touch with you and put your mind at rest.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We've never committed to a 3-year contract for any IT service. We kind of feel that technology moves too fast for that. What kind of level of discount would we get for a 1-year contract based on your assumptions of the traffic that we might generate?
That's a difficult question for me to answer. As I've said, all of the discounts that we've put together are based on a 3-year contract. However, I'm sure I could have a word with our finance department and see what could be done. I suspect the discount available will be somewhere in the region of 15%, but obviously I can't say for certain, but I'll have a word with finance and I'll write a special proposal for you. And time for just one more question, I think. Yeah.
Can your service access email through cell phones? And if so, do you have different call rate charges?
It does depend very much on which model of mobile that you currently have. But what I suggest you do is to speak to your service provider direct, and they'll be able to give you details of the tariff. If anybody has any further questions, I'll be available over lunch to answer them. Thank you very much indeed.
Okay. So the first thing I want to ask is, do you want to watch this again? Can everybody give me the thumbs up or thumbs down? Can I get some response? Okay, I see majority are quite happy listening to it one time. So if that's the case, let's move on, yeah? Okay, now, so as I said just now, take a few minutes to think, yeah? So my question is, did Nick state clear objectives? Did Nick state clear objectives? Can I have a show of hands? Yes. How many? Yeah. Okay, good. Any of you could see that he had, yeah? And he was introducing a new service called, yeah? He clearly stated he's introducing a new service called Global Pickup, yeah? And he also made a point to mention 4 benefits of the service, yeah? You can read it there. Convenience. I can't see. I'm blocked. Technology and reliability. Yeah, there are 4 benefits of the service. And convenience, savings, technology, and reliability. So, what outcomes do you think he was looking for? Did you catch what outcomes he was looking for? Yeah, this is the outcome for the companies present to subscribe the new service. That is the outcome he wanted, right? Is that right? Do you agree? Yes? Right. Okay. That's the outcome he was looking for. And ideally, further to that, he wanted the companies to sign up for at least a 3-year subscription. Correct? Right. Okay, we move on. Did he use visuals? Did he use any visuals? Yes, he did, right? And what were they? PowerPoint slides, right? Now, my question to you is, were they clear? Was the PowerPoint slides clear? No, not to Shazza. No, not to Zurena. Well, I beg to differ. I thought it came out at the right time. He did not focus on using slides, but it came out at the most salient times of his presentation, at the right time. Yeah, he would show the slides at the right time, because not everybody use slides throughout. Okay, he chose to make a presentation that blends the two. Yeah, sometimes he would talk, and occasionally the slides will come out. So that is possible too. You don't have to use slides throughout. Yeah, right. Let's continue. Did he make any recommendations? What do you think? Did he make any recommendations? Ah, you didn't catch that. Huh? I see there are no responses. So he did actually. He made, what is the recommendation? He made an offer to have a special discounted package for big groups of subscribers. That's what he did. That's a recommendation, yeah? And very importantly, did he allow for questions? Did he? Yes, very good. Some of you observed he allowed for questions. And he answered 4 questions. I made a mistake there. He answered 4 questions, yeah? And next, did he summarize the presentation? Did he? Do you know if he summarized the presentation? Can I get some response? Yes, he did. Oh, Farahin said yes. Esther says yes. Shah says yes. Very good. Yeah. So yes, he briefly summed up the main points about what? Well, global pickup and the benefits of the service, didn't he? He just focused on that short and succinct kind of a summary, right? So that's why it's an effective presentation. Yeah. Okay, let's look at another video now. I think you like this. Let's play this.
Can't get it to work. Someone help me? Okay, so I'm going to talk to you about paraphrasing. By the end of today's session, you'll know about why we use references, the differences between quotes and paraphrasing, and how to paraphrase. There are three main reasons why it's important to use references. Validate your point of view, plagiarism, and source of future investigation.
Picture.
So there's two ways to reference in text: quotes and paraphrasing. A quotation is when you use another author's statement in your assignment without changing it. Quotation should be used selectively and kept to a minimum. Quotation should not be overly long. Paraphrasing is when you write about a source you have read using your own words. There's more to paraphrasing than just changing one or two words from the original source, and paraphrasing shows your understanding to a reader. This is an example of a quote. In academic writing, it's essential to state the sources of ideas and information. Such references allow readers to refer back to the sources themselves. I'm going to show you how to paraphrase it. Cottrell states that in writing it is important to state the sources of ideas. References allow readers to find the sources themselves. This was my first attempt. That's the original. What do you think? Well, it's not very good because you can see I've only changed one or two words. I changed essential to important, and I changed to find to instead of to refer back. So it's not very good.
Okay.
This is my next attempt. Cottrell states that referencing should always be used when using the ideas and opinions of others in academic writings. The original source can be easily located. What do you think about this one?
I think that one...
Anyway, so this is much better. As you can see, I've tried to put it in my own words. So what do you need to include when you paraphrase in text? You need to put the surname of the author, the name of the organisation. You need to put the year of publication. In a sentence, it might look like this. At the start of a sentence, Cottrell stated that plagiarism is a confusing and difficult concept to fully understand. And at the end of the sentence, plagiarism is confusing and a difficult concept to fully understand. You can see that the author's surname and date is there. Okay, conclusion. Referencing correctly can strengthen your assignments. When paraphrasing, you should write down what the author has said completely in your own words. You must still give credit to the person whose idea you're using when paraphrasing by referencing correctly. Got any questions? No? Okay. Finish.
Right. Okay, let's look back at that video. Unless you want to watch it again. Response, please? No. Okay, fine. Let's move on then. Let's look back at that video number 2 and think about it, right? So was that a good or bad presentation? Bad, right? And what was wrong? That's a question we have. What was wrong with it? Yeah? Well, to start with, there were many things wrong, isn't it? Not just one wrong thing. What were they? Yeah? He was very unprepared, correct? Yeah, many. Shazza says many things that were wrong. The presenter was unprepared, right? She mumbled. It's like she did not know her facts, right? And you tend to do that. When you don't know your facts, a person who does not know the facts usually mumbles because you dare not speak up. You did not speak out. You do not want your voice to be heard, right? So this lady, she was mumbling, right? And don't you agree? The PowerPoint was very badly done, wasn't it? Huh? Look at the color, the font, right? The animations. Wasn't it distracting for you? For me, it was pretty, distracting because you keep getting different animations coming out, right? The other thing that you would notice, and this is when you do presentation, you must remember, you must face the audience. She did not. She had a body to the side, right? He dare not face the audience, obviously. It gives a bad impression when you are presenting and you're not looking at the audience. Ideally, if I was standing in front of you face to face, I will be looking at your faces. I will be making eye contact. Yeah. So all in all, she had a very bad body language, correct? Remember, she's folding her arms. You saw that? Yeah. And when you fold your arms, normally, how you read people who fold their arms is because they're nervous. Yeah. They don't know their facts. And they're very unsure of themselves, right? So that's what happened. So did you learn anything? Did you learn anything watching that video? Yes. I get many yes. Yeah, that's good. People are observing the various things that happen in a bad presentation. And those are the points that you need to avoid. Yeah. All right. So next, I want to ask you, how do you suggest she improves? How do you suggest she improves? Yeah. Think about that and see if what I'm going to tell you coincides with you, with what you're thinking. All right. Najiha, you want to speak? No? Okay. Right. So these are my observations and what she needs to do to improve, right? She needs to keep the presentation simple and clear. Simple and clear, not convoluted. She used many big words. Yeah. Lots and lots of words on her slides, isn't it? So she needs to do that. Keep it simple and clear. Yeah. Have very clear objectives and outcome. Is she? I don't think so. What was the objective of her? Did you grasp what she was trying to do at the end of it? What was her objective in doing the presentation? Was it for you to understand about paraphrasing? What? Not clear, right? Do you agree with me? Yes, she was not clear. Yeah, and neither was the outcome, correct? It was not clear, right? Structure. Was there a structure to the presentation? Yeah? We are talking about structure later, but even if you don't know about what are the structure of doing a presentation, you know that it was what? Haphazard. She's running from here to there. Yeah, she's touching on this and that. It was not clear, right? That's something that you need to avoid. Did she allow for questions? Did she summarize? Did she close properly? No. Yeah. Always, when you do a presentation, you must allow people to ask questions. You must summarize what it is that you wanted to tell, and you have to close, right? Now, anyone notice that somebody did try to ask a question and she just shut the person up? How many people actually saw that? Did any of you observe that she just ignored? She just ignored the person, right? So that is something that we should never do in a presentation. Let's say I'm talking now, and just now, somebody, Najiha, I think, she had a mic on and I thought she wanted to ask a question. So I stopped, right? Did you see that? I stopped. Why? Because when somebody is interrupting you to ask a question, you would normally stop and listen, right? And we saw that that lady, she did not, right? Okay, and of course, this is something that I'm going to emphasize throughout. Obviously, this lady, I'm sorry, let me give her a name, Miss A. Miss A did not practice. Yeah, she did not practice. So when you prepare a presentation, yeah, even for a simple thing like wanting to tell your parents that you want to get married, you still have to practice. You have to plan, right? Plan what you want to say. So you have to practice, right? Okay, let's move on now. We'll keep the questions to the last, yeah? And just remember the things, jot down the questions you want to ask me. You're most welcome, right? Okay, so that was well done. It's well done if she does all these things, right? If we do all these things when we prepare our presentation, right? Now, let's review and recap the important points about presentation, right? The first thing I want to remind you is these two elements are critical, okay? I consider them critical, the objective of presentations. Because how can you make a presentation when you don't know what it is you want to do, right? Now, a simple one, like you want to tell your parents that you want to get married. What is the objective? The objective is to convince them to allow you to marry, right? So that is the objective of your presentation, right? So objectives must be concise, it must be specific and target the audience, right? In this case, is your parents. Yeah. In the other case, your boss asks you to present to bankers. Your audience are the bankers. So you have to make your objective clear, right? Concise and specific, right? For example, okay, I'm sharing you an example. You are the manager of your company's group of tarikas. That means your company have a group of tarikas. They want to sell only one tarika, yeah, from the group. See, it's precise, right? One tarika. And you have been asked to make a presentation and to sell the tarika for the best price. The best price is not less than 2 million ringgit. When you see you have the period there, huh? Specific period there before the end of Q4 2021, right? So again, again and again, I'll emphasize because this is critical. Before you start a presentation, you have to think about the objective, yeah? And the objective, you state it clearly. What is your objective? Objective, right? Yeah, you define and describe an action. What is the objective in the tadika case? To sell the tadika, right? And it's measurable, yeah? Time, space, let me go back, sorry. Yeah, time, space, amount, or frequency, yeah? So you need to have this, always when you formulate your objective, you think in terms of this, right? In terms of time, in terms of space, in terms of amount, and or frequency, right? Okay, we're coming back to the objectives a bit later. So let me move on now. Another critical element is the outcome. What's the outcome you hope to achieve, right? What outcome at the end are the end product of your presentation, right? They are, right? So the desired outcome in the case of the tadika is the buyer agrees to buy the tadika, and for the minimum that you wanted, that is 2 million, and when? Before the end of the year. See? So your desired outcome is to ensure, the desired outcome is to ensure that the buyer agrees to buy the tadika. One tadika, remember, they have a group of tadikas, but one tadika, right? Okay, so if you can, structure your presentation, yeah, with these thoughts in mind, the two critical elements of having an objective and an outcome, yeah, you would have, if you approach it the right way, you would have sold it, yeah? All right, now, this is the next item that I want to talk to you about, that is the structure, right? Remember I said Miss A just now, she did not have a structure of a presentation. When you do not have a structure, you tend to go haywire. You talk about everything under the sun, you're not clear, right? Okay, first thing, when you think of a structure, you have to think about telling them what you're going to tell them, right? I will explain that further. The second part will be to tell them. Tell them what is your presentation about, right? Tell them, for instance, if you are talking to the bankers, you have to tell them certain things, right? To convince them. And finally, the last part of the structure would be tell them what you just told them. Yeah. And here, when we talk about these, right? So what is it? Introduction. In the introduction, you will tell them what you're going to tell them. And in the tell them part, you'll be telling them about background information, outline the objectives, tell them the main body of a presentation. You have to have a main body of presentation, and you have recommendations, right? And a summary, right? These would be formed the part of telling them. These will be the bulk of the information, right? And then you close and offer questions, right? Answer the questions that they may have for you. That would be a very structured kind of presentation, and it will come out clear, right? Do you agree? Do you agree? Yes, very good. Okay, let's move on now. Right, now I'm going to be talking to you about introduction and background information, right? What do you actually put in the introduction, right? So first things first, when you stand up and you have to make a presentation, what do? You remember what Nick did? You are briefly saying good afternoon, assalamualaikum, whatever, right? First things, right? Then you have to state your name and your position, right? I will say I'm Aminahtun, yeah, I'm a retired ambassador. See, that's what I'm doing. I'm telling you because I'm teaching you, I'm presenting to you how to present, right? I would tell you that my name because it's easier for you to refer to me, right? Then if I have any team members with me, yeah, maybe Mr. Shahgani, my husband, so I will introduce him as well, yeah, because he's attending the presentation with me. And then, most importantly is you must tell them why you are there, right? Now, you want to sell a tadika, right? Like Mr. Nick just now. Nick wanted to tell you about Global Pickup. It's the new service that his company has, right? So at the very beginning, after introducing himself and what he does, he mentions why he is there, right? Next part is the background information, right? We're talking about the structure. Remember the structure I mentioned to you. Background information. So you tell about the company you work for, right? He was talking about his company. It's track record. What by track record? Track record will be how long they have been in the business, right? Is it doing well, right? Is it You know, is it a profitable company? You know, how long they have been in business? How much is the annual turnaround? How much money they make, profits they make every year? Why? Because you're trying to convince. Remember, if you're trying to talk to the bankers to get the loan, remember, you have to tell them about the company that you work for, right? And convince them that you are a good, strong company. Otherwise, the banks will not loan you the money, right? As simple as that. So you need to tell that in the background information, yeah? So that they believe in your companies, yeah? Worth doing business with, right? So next, you outline the objectives, yeah? Okay, remember, I want to recap about objectives, yeah? They are stated clearly, you define and describe an action, they are measurable. Remember, I said in terms of time, space, amount, and or frequency, right? Now, for example, the case of selling the tadika, right? Number one, you inform that only one tadika in the group is for sale. Remember, I said that you are in the group, you have many tadikas, maybe all over Malaysia, we don't know, right? But you have more than one. But you, out of the many, you're selling only one. So that is very specific, right? The objective is to sell one tadika, right? And when is the sale targeted for? When are you planning to sell? By end of 2021. So you must mention that to the audience, right? And finally, you should inform them about the amount that you want to sell the property for. Okay? You want to sell it for 2 million ringgit. That's the bottom line, right? Of course, this is what you will state, but what actually happens in the end might be different, right? At the negotiation stage, right? Now we're talking about the presentation stage, okay? So the subject of negotiation is another time, another training session, maybe we can talk to you about how to negotiate, right? But when we talk about presentation, you have to be specific. How much is the amount you're hoping to get, right? In this case, 2 million ringgit, right? Is that clear? Can I move on? Okay, good. Right. Very good. Okay, now, next, we're going to talk about the main body of the presentation, right? So main body, remember? We had, go back and think about the structure I mentioned to you just now, right? Now we have to talk about the main body. After introduction, after establishing the objectives, then you talk about the main body, okay? First, yeah, you have to outline the function or product or service, right? Right. In the case of the tadika, what is the product? Product is a tadika, yeah? And how long has it been in use, yeah? Now, next, you will discuss the benefits of the product or service, yeah? Yeah, the product, oh, it's been, you know, we have used this tadika, or my company has had this tadika for a long time, for 10 years maybe, yeah? So that's the benefit, yeah? And then what are the benefits? You sell the benefits. Benefits could be, oh, it's located in a very good place. It's near a lot of housing. It's in a place where there are parents with young children, yeah? So that's the benefit of the tadika that you're trying to sell, right? It's got very good amenities. Oh, the tadika is so well established. It's got a swimming pool, yeah? It's got fencing, it's got security. Those kind of points, you will mention it in the main body of your presentation, right? Yeah. You will talk about the space. Maybe it's very large. It's you know, it has 20 classrooms maybe, you know. Then you want to convince the people to the company that will take over, that wants to buy it. You have to convince, right? You tell, but the important thing is to tell the truth. Tell the truth about the tadika, right? For instance, yeah. Whatever product you're selling, whatever service you're selling, you must make sure that you tell the truth. Don't make up the stories, right? And Next, you outline the research results. Yeah? Okay. Maybe you want to mention your company's track record again. Yeah. And this particular tadika, for instance, how many? Oh, last year we had 200 children from the age of 4 to 6 years old. They come to this tadika, right? You tell them, because this is all public knowledge. Huh? Yeah. And then, you know, the worth. You may say, oh, other tadikas in the area, yeah, they are selling for 500,000 ringgit or something like that, but they are much smaller. So, but you must have a track record, right? You must point out the track record. The research results show that in this group, let's say the group is Cempaka Group. Cempaka Group have got 5 tadikas all over KL, right? And they have been in the business for 20 years. So when you buy this tadika that I am selling, you say to the audience, when you buy the tadika I'm selling, you will know that this tadika is from a very reputable group of companies, the Cempaka Group, right? So, you know, that's how you convince people, right? By proving the track record, the research results on the property, right? And the business and the company, yeah, the group. And you spell out the cost. You tell them, right, how much you're asking for and why. Why are you asking for 2 million, right? It's a large facility. It can fit 20 classrooms, right? Annually you have you have 200 students. Maybe you talk about the teaching staff, how many are and how trained they are. What is the system you teach? Maybe it's Montessori school. Montessori schools are much more expensive, right? So those kind of things you have to spell out, right? And then you put out the proposal, yeah, put forward the proposal. The proposal is to sell by the end of 2021. You want to sell that property by end of 2021, but you can also add a recommendation, yeah, in the proposal that is, we want, because you want 2 million, right? You might want to say, oh, we want 2.5 million, but we are willing to negotiate down, right? That's when you talk about it in the proposal and recommendation. Okay? Am I clear on the main body? Yes, good. All right. Next, we talk about recommendations and the summary, right? The next part of a structured presentation is recommendations and summary, right? So, in the recommendation, you can say what your company can do for the client, right? For instance, in the case of the tadika, what can your company do for the person or the company that is buying over? You can introduce them to the parents who are sending the children there, right? In the area, for instance, yeah. Maybe you can also say that you will leave behind the furnishings that are already in, in the tadika, you have the playground, you have the swimming pool, then you have the equipments, yeah, the whiteboard, the chalkboard, what have you, in the tadika, right? So that would be your recommendation, yeah. And then, are there any specific proposals that can be negotiated? Yeah, maybe you want to say, yeah, in the case of Nick, for instance, you can see that his company is willing to negotiate a discount for big groups, right? If there are 250 users, he said, of that service, they are willing to give a discount, right? That is a recommendation you can make in the presentation, right? All right, now summary. What's a summary? First off, it should be short and clear. Yeah. For example, the idea is to sum up what it is you offer. what you offer is to sell the tadika, sell one tadika, right? You reiterate the benefits of the product or service. Remember, again, Nick mentioned what are the benefits of the product he was selling. Yeah, he was talking about cost, the advantage. Yeah, like the tadika, for instance. You know, you can say again. Yeah. Oh, the tadika is located in a good place. You know, we have already got a strong large number of children who come to our tadika. You can take over, you know, those kind of points. You reiterate it in the summary. Yeah. Okay. But like I said, just to remind you, you do not repeat all those things you said in the main body. Yeah. You don't need to go back and say everything that you said in the main body, right? Okay. Am I okay to carry on? Is it clear? Roshini, did you want to ask something? Roshini? No. No, miss? Okay, good. All right. Okay, now the next part that we want to talk about are questions and closing. Yeah. We want to talk about questions. Yeah. Why is it important to allow? It is important when you do a presentation to allow your audience to ask questions, right? We saw that Nick allowed people to ask questions. Why? To further explain about the product, yeah, the product or the service that you are trying to sell or talk about. And you also want to clarify if they have questions. Remember that guy asked him about TFO, yeah? And this person had that question about how is the TFO situation or something like that, right? So he needed clarification and the job is for Nick to clarify, okay? But in that case, Nick did not clarify because he did not know the answer. So I want to remind you, when you answer questions, you must remember, don't make up answers. Like Nick said, I don't know. I'm not familiar with what the TFO is. So he offered to check because he didn't know the answer, right? He said, I will ask the technical people. And always remember this. When you say, I will get the answers for you, you'll have a question, you have to pass the question to the right person to reply. Yeah, in this case, he has to go to somebody who's doing technical, give the right answer. And of course, it is your job to ensure that this person that you ask to reply actually replies, right? You have to follow up with the person, right? Just a few pointers there, okay? And now we're talking about closing. In a closing, always be positive, yeah? You will say, thank you for coming. I hope you have had an meaningful understanding of our product, and then this is a new thing which I thought sometimes if you are trying to sell a product like Nick, you want to share your contact details. This one is, I would say, sharing your contact details would be dependent, okay? What is the service you're providing, right? But if like him, like Nick is in sales. So he'll want the audience, those people who were listening to him, to contact him, right? So he can, in the closing, he can share his contact details, right? In the case of Nick, he did not. He mentioned what he was, but he did not share. But I thought sometimes, if appropriate, you can share your contact details, right? Okay, let's go on now. I think this is an important part. I want to share you some language tips. Language tips because this is a English webinar, yeah? And the language tips pertain to doing presentations, right? So first off, as I've been repeating, plain and simple language. No need to use big words, yeah? sometimes we don't understand the big words. Use simple, easily understandable language, yeah, simple words, yeah. So make sure the audience understands the terms and abbreviations you use. For instance, yeah, TFO, right? TFO. People didn't understand what TFO is. Made sure that he can explain what TFO is, right? So when we want to say something, if we are selling a technological product which people are not familiar with, like for me, I don't know what is Intel 5 when you talk about computers, right? So when I talk to the audience, I say, oh, the computers we are selling have got Intel 5, and somebody will say, what is Intel 5? You know, I must be able to answer, or I have to refer to somebody else who can answer, right? So you must make sure the audience understands the terms and the abbreviations. If you use TFO, for instance, see, that guy didn't know what is TFO, right? He himself, Nick, did not know what TFO is, but he used it. Try to avoid that, yeah? Okay, another term, repetition and emphasis, right? Now, you want to repeat important points made throughout the presentation, yeah? Why? Because you want to get your message, yeah? So, sometimes in the presentation, you keep saying, as I've said, yeah? Like I would say, and I don't know, maybe some of you heard, I keep saying, as I mentioned before, right? Because if you are listening to me, you would have caught, I have mentioned before about objectives. So I said, as I have mentioned before, objectives are critical. It's a critical element in presentation, right? So such phrases are very important for you to repeat, so that people, yeah, the points I want to make come across, yeah, are understood, right? Now, emphasis. What's emphasis? You must, in a presentation, emphasize the important points you want to make, yeah? Why? You want to bring focus to what you are saying, yeah? Bring back focus to what you said, yeah? So you would say, the important points Nick made, for instance, is on the products, right? On the benefits, right? The 4 points. So he repeats it, he says, yeah, he uses phrases such as most importantly. So what I would really like you to understand is this, right? So he would to use emphasis, right? And above all, what is most important? Above all, right? Above all, we must make sure our presentation is simple and clear, See, when I say that, you remember. You remember and brings back focus because, Dato says, the presentation I make must be simple and clear. Above all. Above all, I'll say, your presentation should be simple and clear, right? So it brings back the focus on presentation, right? Signposting, what it means is you want to make your presentation flow smooth and follow where you are, right? For instance, I will say, I have 3 points to make, right? In my presentation, I have 3 points to make. So firstly, I want to talk about the critical elements. See? That's how you use it. Or just now I say, let me recap about the objective. Let me recap about what a presentation is all about, you can also, at the end of it, to summarize, I would, like Nick would say, to summarize, I am selling this product, yeah, and this product gives these benefits, right? He summarizes it, okay? Or you can use to expand on. Basically, that is called signposting, and it's natural when you are talking and you are doing a presentation for you to use these tips, yeah? Okay, right. Now, next subject. Oh, wait, just before I go here, can I go back And I just quickly want to ask anyone whether they want some more explanations or everything is okay. Oh, fine, good. We're making good time, by the way. I still have a few slides and then we can have Q&A, yeah? Okay, let's move on. We'll talk about visuals. This is very important, right? Types of visuals normally in a presentation is PowerPoint, yeah? Or we can have what they call Prezi, they can have Google Slides, yeah? There's different types of visuals, huh? PowerPoint is one, right? Overhead projectors and slides. Remember that lady, Miss A? I call her Miss A, yeah? She had used a overhead slide. I don't know how many of you actually use that. People don't use overhead projectors and slides anymore, right? In this day and age, but well, that is one mode of presenting a visual as well. Yeah, that's it. I don't know how many of you have seen it. Can I have a show of hands? How many have seen this? How many of you? Paris, of course. Easter. Oh, a few of you have seen it. That's good. Although not many of us use it now, right? Whiteboard and blackboard, of course. Teachers would use this. It's funny, right? But it's still being used, right? I use it sometimes together when I do a in-person training. Sometimes I use both. I use the PowerPoint and I also use the whiteboard to write, to emphasize, you know. Yeah, blackboard, teachers use blackboard, right? But that is to present a visual. They draw pictures, you know, sometimes with little children, right? So when they see that and you draw it, why? It's important because you keep that in mind, right? The picture, the teacher is talking about an apple. She goes to the blackboard, she draws the picture of an apple, right? So the child will always remember the apple. Or this is how an apple looks like. Or this is how an elephant looks like, right? So the whole idea of visual is so that you can remember how it looks like. You retain better. When you present good visuals, you retain better. The audience retains better, yeah? Paper handouts sometimes, old-fashioned way, but some people like to have paper, right? After my presentation, some of you may like to have my slides, but you may like to have it on paper so that you can look through, right? You can review, you can look back and learn, right? So sometimes people do give paper handouts. Paper handouts can also be about information. For instance, you are talking as a representative of the property developer, right? And you want to talk about the success of the company. Let's say you're talking about SP Setia. SP Setia is a big property developer, right? You hand out to them, to your audience, yeah, a handout, paper handout about SP Setia. So when they leave the meeting, they have that handout with them. SP Setia's made, you know, have been in business for 20 years. Yeah, they make a turnover of 2 billion a year. Things like that. You know, it helps for them to remember, right? So people do give out paper handouts too, right? Flip chart, of course, that's for exercises when you want to do exercises together, right? You of course, videos. I use some videos just now because videos take you away from just listening to the speaker, to the presenter. When you watch videos, you get another experience, right? You can see another person presenting, like we saw how Nick presents and how Miss A presents, right? So that's what you do, right? Props, yeah, what you're trying to sell, yeah. Let's say you are trying to sell a laptop, right? And you bring it, you're presenting about this new laptop, you know, new age laptop, yeah? Like Steve Jobs, when he first, I don't know how many of you have watched the video, but Steve Jobs, when he wanted to introduce the Apple phone, the iPhone, yeah, iPhone for the first time, he actually had a physical iPhone. You know, he brought out the physical iPhone. So people will look, it's the first ever iPhone, you know. People are intrigued by it. People want to know more about it. So he used the iPhone as a prop. That's what I mean by props. So, and it's still a visual because people remember better, right? Right, let me go on again. So, PowerPoint slides, specifically on PowerPoint slides, because we all use, most of us use PowerPoint slides. There are equivalent products, yeah. The graphics and the designs must be related, yeah. It must be related to the subject, okay? Like today, I'm talking about presentation. I'm not writing about public speaking, am I? You see my slides. Do I talk about public speaking? No, right? Do I talk about grooming, how to dress? No. I talk about the structure of presentation, for instance. I talk about what are the critical elements when you are thinking of making a presentation, right? So the graphics and the design must be related, all right, to the subject. And don't be tempted to be over creative. Some people, you know, again, Miss A, she was trying to be over creative, wasn't she? She used all kinds of fonts and, you know, and all kinds of animation and lots of colors, you know. She was being over creative. But did it turn out well? No, right? How many of you agree that it turned out well when you are over creative? How many? How many of you agree that when you're over creative, your slides, your PowerPoint slides will look good? Yes. Shaza says, no, don't be over creative. I think we should keep it simple, as I like. That's my favorite word for today. Keep it simple, right? In presentations. Thank you very much for your responses. So the other thing about it is props, right? As I said, you can use an iPhone for a prop, right? But you must make sure you know how it works, right? When Steve Jobs talked about the iPhone, he knew exactly what the iPhone will do, right? So I wanted to share the story, huh? See, I put a robot there. Okay. One time, my husband and I, we met with this man, right? And this is at the beginning of COVID, you know, when people were trying to have less interaction, right? Less human interaction. Now, this man said, I've got a robot that we can send to hospitals, and the robot will greet and meet people and escort them everywhere to show them, you know, let's say somebody comes and says, the robot will say hello, and then the robot will say, where is the X-ray department? Then the robot is supposed to be able to direct the person to the X-ray department. Now, when this man came to see us, you know, he wanted to demonstrate to us what the robot could do, right? And you know what happened? The robot could only say hello, good morning, hello, good morning. And so we said, can we ask questions to the robot? Will the robot be able to show us something? You know what he said? Oh, actually, I don't have the key. I don't have the key, and I don't have the, what's the word? To key in the instructions to the robot. So apparently the robot, you need to have a special key, and you need to sort of key in the instructions. So he failed, you see. He wanted to use the prop for him in his presentation to us was the robot, right? But he was not prepared. He brought the robot, but the robot couldn't show us what it can do. Yeah? So that is why it's important when you use a prop, for instance, when you use this, when you want to talk about the iPhone or the laptop, you should be able to demonstrate, because when you use props, people want to know more, right? So you need to be able to make it work. You need to make sure. So before the presentation, you need to make sure everything is workable and in operational, yeah, in the case of the robot. Okay, am I clear? Can I move on? Do you all agree? All right. Yes, true. Clarice says presentation is very important. Preparation is important. I agree. Yep. Right. Okay. So next, the presenting visuals, the basics. Yeah. I'm just showing you what to do and what not to do. Okay. So we're talking about PowerPoint slides, right? So we should use big fonts. Minimum is 20 so that it can be read. And sometimes when you make it so small, like our friend, Miss A, it was so small, you can't read it, right? And then, of course, keep the background simple, clear. Look at my background. It's just white. No fussy background, no colors, no bling bling, you know, lots of lights or multicolors, right? No fussy background, right? And then use animations when appropriate. Yeah. So when I want to emphasize a point, perhaps I will make sure that the animation comes out at that point in time. Yeah. So don't overdo it. It's distracting. And that's what happened with Miss A, right? Her PowerPoint slide was distracting because she had the animation come out this way and that way, right? And sometimes bright colors disappears, twists and turns. No. That's not the right way. And of course, make things visual. You show pictures. You show pictures. Yeah. So that people remember. Like I give you an example of the robot, of a person using the prop. The prop is the robot. I show you a picture of robot. Why? Because that makes you think and remember the case. Yeah. And of course, use endless slides of bulleted lists that all look the same. You're writing A, B, C, 10 points about one particular subject. Yeah. And it's difficult for people to remember. So no point. Yeah. Too many words. Right? Okay. If everyone's okay with the visual tips, yeah, we're coming up to 3:30, so I should rush through. I'm coming to the end, so because I want to leave time for you to ask me questions. Yeah. Okay, let's go look at some 8 helpful tips, yeah, about presentation. First, knowing the goal of the presentation is the only way to know it. That means, what is the goal? The goal is actually the outcome, right? So at the beginning, you should know, as I said, what is the outcome you want to reach? Yeah? What is it you want to achieve, right? Nick wanted to make sure some of those people, the audience, subscribe to Global Pickup, right? Yeah. The person selling the tariqah wants to make sure some people are interested and talk to him about buying the tariqah, right? So that's the first thing you need to know the outcome, right? And then you have to think about how to engage the audience, right? This one I want to remind you because it's very important for you to know your audience, right? Are you going to speak to bankers? And what kind of bankers are they? Are they foreign bankers? Are they Americans, British, Japanese? Or are they all Malaysians? Because if they're all Malaysians, your approach will be different, right? Now, if there are some Americans in the audience and some Malaysians and some, you know, from China, and then you make a local joke about nasi lemak, that will be, it will fall flat, isn't it? If they won't understand the joke, right? You're trying to engage them, but they won't understand you. Am I clear on this? Are you all following me? Can I show? Right. Okay, good. Hillary saw it. Okay, good. Yes. So, and then the other thing you have to know is the people who are the audience, right? Are they very junior management staff or are they very senior? Did the banker, among the bankers, the CEO of say CIMB banker, or is it just a clerk? You know, because you have to figure that out. Because if it's just a clerk, you know that the clerk will not be able to make a decision, right? So you have to tailor your presentation accordingly, yeah? And sometimes we want to break the ice. We want to tell a joke, right? But we must make sure our joke is really funny. Some people make a joke, but nobody laughs, right? So it's very embarrassing. So you should always plan. Know your audience and plan what kind of jokes will make them laugh, right? Great. So these kind of points you have to remember, right? So as I add further to that, the first few minutes can make or break a presentation. For instance, I come in and I straight away, like Miss A, straight away I did not introduce myself. I did not say good morning. I just go, oh, you know, I drink water and I don't look at you. Nobody will be interested to listen, right? Correct? Whereas when you start with the right approach, you start by introducing yourself, you engage the people, you tell a story, yeah? People like stories, isn't it? Right? Remember, I told you a story at the beginning. Now you see why? I told you a story because I want you to know me better. And I want you to know a story related to my experience about presentations, right? So when you tell a story, the story has to be relevant. I don't want to tell you a story about how life is in Canada, for instance. What's the point? What's the point? That is for another session, right? But, you know, if I told you a story about my life in Canada, oh my God, she's talking about, somebody might be thinking, oh, she's supposed to be talking about presentation. Why is she telling me about her life in Canada, right? It's not relevant, right? When you tell a story, you must remember that the story must be connected to what you are presenting about, right? Okay, clear? All right, let's go on. More tips. So there is no right or wrong number of slides. Some people say, oh, you should not have more than 15 slides or 10 slides. No, if you have things to actually talk about and the slides help you remember, the slides help you explain and make it, how do you say, make it easy for the audience to understand, it's okay. You can have maybe even 25 slides, you know, and if you have the time, of course, yeah. And then neutral slide background is better. Like I have a white background, you have a better visual impact. If I have a red one, a red background, maybe you won't see it so clear. Maybe it's distracting, right? And then the typeface or the font. Huh? The typeface or font is convey messages. Yeah, like you see this helpful tips word there. Yeah, yeah. Is it the right font? Maybe it's handwritten, so it's fine, you know. But sometimes people use the wrong fonts, like that lady again, Miss A. So it's irritating to people. You lose them. They're not interested in your presentation. And I also want to remind you, don't be afraid. Just get up and talk. I know it's easier said than done, but you know, it comes with practice, yeah? Which leads me to my last pointer, that is practice, practice, practice. Yeah, you have to practice, 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 yeah? And why? Why do you practice? When you have practiced your presentation, you're confident, you have knowledge, you are knowledgeable about the subject. Yeah? And some of you might be thinking, oh yeah, Dato, she's not knowledgeable about the subject. On the contrary, I can talk because I've done it. Yeah? I've done a lot of presentations, right? I'm knowledgeable about presentations, how to present, right? So if you ask me to present about rockets, for instance, you know, or the military, the submarines, I can't talk about that. No way. I don't have any knowledge on that subject. So I will not be able to do a good presentation when I don't know the subject, yeah? And of course, the other thing about practicing is so that you remember the important points you need to make. What are the important points you need to make in the presentation, right? So when you practice, it's already in your mind, right? And the message you convey is well understood and best part is you are able to clarify certain queries as appropriate. Yeah. When people ask you, like say somebody asks about the fonts to be used, you know, because I have spoken about it and I've practiced the slides and know what's in my slides, I can answer the questions, right? So lastly, practice makes perfect, right? Practice makes perfect. I strongly believe in that, and I think many of you do too. When you practice enough, it becomes good. And for me personally, having worked for so long, I'm retired now, but I'm now a trainer. Yeah, I practice a lot, and this is where I get to the stage where I can talk about the subjects. Yeah. So now, come to the favorite part: questions. As I said, if some of you, if you want to ask me the questions directly, you're welcome to, or you can type it out in the chat. Atif, do you have any, maybe bring up some questions that's already been brought up to you? I don't see any questions. Oh,
Dato,
okay,
we have one question, Dato, from Clarice
yeah,
Wong.
yeah. What if the
Okay.
audience
Yeah.
asks a question that we can't answer on the spot during the presentation? What should we do? Right. Okay. So we do what Nick did. Yeah. What did Nick do? He said, yeah, you, okay, I'm not too sure about that. Yeah. Let me get back to you. Which means he says he will refer the question to the person who will, because it's a technical question, right? Yeah. So he said, I will refer to the question, the right person, and I'll get back to you. And okay, in that circumstance, when, of course, you don't know that person personally, right? Like, I don't know many of you personally. Now, when you have a question that I can't answer, and I said that, then I must make sure, okay, in this case, I can ask Atif, please get the name of the person or the email of that person. I will reply to the person by email. Remember, I was mentioning just now, when people ask you questions, you must make sure and you promise them a reply, an answer. You must reply to the person. All right? Is that clear, Clarice? Can I get a thumbs up if it's clear or not? Hanani says.
Great, Dato. Clarice reply. Okay, Dato, we have another question from
Thank
Wafa
you.
Buhari.
Yes.
Okay. For Wafa, he said that maybe cliche questions, but how to overcome fear on public speaking? Maybe you have a magic tips, Dato?
Well, the magic tip is just get up and do it. No, actually not. It again, I have to say that I told you when I started and I had to do an emceeing for a program. I was nervous, honestly, but I breathed. First thing I do always is I breathe. I take a deep breath. I count to 10. Take a deep breath, blow out, and of course, you know, being Muslim, I dua. I read a dua. I say a dua to Allah. Please let me be, you know, less nervous. Let me be able to do this. You know, that's one way. That's one way to calm down your nerves. But you know, the truth to be told, sometimes, no matter how experienced you are, sometimes you cannot overcome the nervousness. And the only way for me, I find that when I am nervous, yeah, I try to make sure I'm familiar with the subject I'm teaching or I'm talking about. I practice. When you practice so many times, you know your script very well, you know your slides very well. the nervousness will sort of drop off. It's only when you have, like for me, for instance, you ask me to talk about rockets, I'll be very nervous because I don't know the subject at all, right? So, but if it's a subject that you know, you practice, yeah? You learn. And then the nervousness. But like I said, as you grow to more senior positions in your at work, you know, you naturally become less and less nervous. And the only other way to think about is when I was junior, I didn't think about it. But when I'm senior, hey, what can the person do? You know, you're talking and you're giving your point of view. What can the person do to you? You're not doing anything wrong. When you are asked to talk, you're not doing anything wrong. You're giving your views, your opinion. So think about that. You know, the person is not going to eat me. The type person is not a tiger, correct? I'll just do my best and I'll leave the rest. Okay? I hope whoever asked the question, I hope I answered your question, yeah? I didn't get your name just now. Ah, Wafa. Okay,
From
Wafa.
Wafa.
Good, Wafa. Right. Any more questions? That's a long question here, I see. What happened when we are doing a corporate presentation to customer, but the audience is not paying attention? What can we do to grab their attention? Well, good. That's a good question. I have to think a bit about it. Yeah. Short of shouting, you know, I suppose you can be truthful. You can say, you know, you can break it up. And some people are daring enough to say, if no one is interested, you know, if you're senior enough, you can actually say this. If no one is interested or if no one is listening, I will cut off my presentation. That is enough for them to look up to you, right? People will look up to you and say, oops, you know, what am I doing, you know? Or the other way of doing it is, yeah, you can request at the beginning, yeah. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to talk to you today about this. I'm Aminahtun. Yeah, I'm a former diplomat. Today, I'm going to talk to you about presentations. But before I begin, I would appreciate if all of you could switch off your mobile phones, yeah, and give me your attention. Maybe that's one way. You can be diplomatic, and maybe they will listen to you. But frankly, with all these years of experience, it is a very difficult situation. Especially if you have very senior people in the audience, you cannot do anything about it. So my rule is, somebody say here 5% rule. Yeah, for me, so long as I can get at least 50% of people paying attention to me, I'm fine. Because look, I look at it this way, like you, all of you, you're here to learn, right? You're here to come and pick up tips from me, right? If you choose not to listen, am I at a loss? I'm not, right? I'm still talking, but you have lost your time. You've sat here and you've learned nothing from me. That's not a good thing, right? Many of you, as I said, I commend you. You came to join the session because you want to learn. And because you want to learn, you should be paying attention. I don't think, I think it's safe for me to say that I'm not that boring, right? so I think that would be the best way to approach it. You know, be very frank at the beginning, set the parameters, right? Yeah, set the parameters. Okay, any more questions? We still have some time. No more questions. Either I'm so good and you understood everything, or I'm so boring that you've switched off. Joey? Yes, Joey, I see your thumbs up. You want to ask me something? Or just say thank you?
Yeah, I just want to say thank you.
Okay.
Thanks for answering the question just now. It's something that we need to facing, but it's really hard to get their attention sometimes.
Yes, true. That's why you have to use visuals sometimes. Sometimes you use visuals, you use videos, and like for me, when I do in-person training, I like to do exercises.
Yes.
I give tasks, I do quizzes, and that's where you learn to engage with people, right?
For
Okay,
training,
I
we
see.
can do that, but for corporate presentation, we cannot do exercise or
Yes, true. That is very
that's
true.
the hard things that
You're right. You're right, Joey. You're very right. Yeah. But corporate presentation, I think in a way is easier because, like right now for this webinar, I have a very diverse group of audience. You all are coming from different backgrounds, you have different interests, and I don't know about it. I don't know your profile, right? So it's difficult because you all are not, I don't know what's your level of understanding. But if you are in a corporate presentation, let's say in a bank, for instance, right? So you know that people who are attending your briefing are people or presentation are people who are already in the business, right? So it's easier in a way because you're talking the same jargon, the same language, because you're all like if I'm talking to a group of diplomats, right? They are diplomats. They know what diplomats do. They have the same interests as me. So it's easier, So yeah. So I hope that answers your question somewhat, Joey.
yes,
All
yes,
right, I
thank you,
see
thank
that
you.
there are more questions.
Yes,
Somebody
Dato,
here,
we have from Clarice.
sorry?
We have one question from Clarice. Should we always prepare a flashcard?
We always, sometimes when presenting a flashcards, they become overly, that's true. Yeah, flashcards are good. I will say it's good because it helps jog your memory, right? It helps you remember. But you see, sometimes people use the flashcard with many, many words. You put so many words or many sentences in it, then you lose the audience because you're reading from the flashcard. Yeah. So for me, I find that I prefer to talk, to engage with the people. So I normally use few words. I don't like to script what I'm going to talk to you about. When you script what you talk to, what you're going to talk about, you tend to read. So I try to avoid that. But there's no problem, really. If you use flashcards to just for you to remember some points, that's fine. If that is your style. Because, even in presentation, it depends on your personality, right? Some people are not good speakers. Good speakers in the sense that they don't like, they are very private people, they're shy. So they have difficulty communicating openly and directly with people, right? So they need to have things like flashcards, or they need to have, some people even have to write out their speech and then read it. It's okay, because if you are that type of person, yeah. But for me, I prefer to have few words. I practice and then I remember the words and I just talk. I find it's more helpful for me. Yeah. So it really depends on you as a person. Right, Clarice? Good. I see another question here. Humaira, she asked, sometimes I find it hard to make eye contact with the audience. Is it okay if I focus on one spot of audience? Yeah, I think it's fine because if you want, you can do that. Just that you must remember when you're talking in a room full of people, you don't want to offend some people, If you're looking in one direction only, let's say my husband is in the audience and I'm just looking at him and talking to him, the rest will feel left out, So maybe, yeah, sometimes, yeah, to get over the nervousness and you're not used to talking, you want to look in one direction, right? But occasionally, take your eyes off and just scan the room quickly and go back to the people you are comfortable with, Maybe you have friends in the audience, right? You have friends in the audience, and these are the people that you feel comfortable with. You want to look at them, right? So for the most part of the presentation, you can look at them, but once in a while, you look away from them. That way, the others in the room, they don't feel left out. Yeah? Okay, Humaira, is that a good reply? Are you okay with that reply? All right. Good, good. I'm happy. Okay, so any more questions? Everyone's ready to call it a day? Atif, are we ready to call it a day? Or any more questions?
Okay, last call for anyone to ask questions. Dato, let me see. Maybe we have missing other questions. Yeah. Okay, no final questions. Dato, everyone.
No? I see somebody is trying to give me an applause so that I can go off.
No, I think they have clear. Okay.
Yeah, okay. I want
Very
to thank all
informative.
of you. I really want to thank all of you for staying on and listening to me. And I hope more than above everything else, I hope you've learned and taken away some good points to help you in your next presentation. Yeah. I wish you all the best. And again, I'm very, very happy that you made the time to join me today. Thank you for your attention. And I hope we'll see each other again on a different subject. Maybe somebody was talking about public speaking. Yeah, maybe you want to talk about negotiations. We can do all those subjects. Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dato. Thank you for the great information and the tips. And thank you for everyone.
I suppose I should stop sharing, huh? Stop sharing.
Okay, we have reached at the end of the today's sessions. Thank you, Dato Aminahtun Karim, for the knowledge sharing. I hope the participants get a lot of benefit and knowledge throughout the webinar sessions. Okay, for the participant, kindly please wait, because I am going to share the QR code and link for the exit survey that you guys will need to fill in. And after you guys already done scan QR code and link, you guys may leave the meeting webinar sessions. Thank you. Thank you, Dato. Thank you, everyone.
I enjoyed myself. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Bye.
Dato. Thank you.
Thank you, Dato.
Bye.
Bye, Dato. Bye, everyone. Sebelum tu kepada anda semua, kita nak